Nothing over music. John, are you ready? Ron, are you ready? Jose, let's go!
Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still. Yeah, all season long we gonna keep the garden live. Let me introduce you to New York, starting 5. Listen to the podcast, like it and share it. What highlights of RJ, Broadway, Barrett. The question is, what kind of offense we gonna run, son? It doesn't matter, we got Jalen Brunson. Let him drive the lane, you know that we stopping them. Welcome to the block party, Mitchell Robinson. You need a deep shot, call Evan Fournier. Look behind the 3-point line and find him over there. And trust, there's nothing we can't handle. If things go left, we call Julius Randle. Look all the way up and see OB topping. And NY, it's good to see your IQ dropping. Hit the defender with a hezzy, he froze. Classic, vintage, D-Rose. You wanna see fans do? Tell me what the bet is. Human highlight, you gotta keep your cam on reddish. You can't handle the beef, then why start? And make sure you tune in to catch iHeart. Put the Knicks on the New York Times with the vets and the youngins like Quentin Grimes. Run with us or run from us, it's time to pick sides before I end up waving the deuce like McBride. Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, go! Still Knicks fans, still Knicks fans, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still SKF, SKF, still. Freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.
What's going on? What is happening? We are back. Thank you for tuning in to SKF Weekly. You see it, Ron, that guy over there. What up, John?
I'm John. How's it going?
What's happening, my brother? I got to tell you, I don't know. Let me before I get into everything, let me just say this. I'm really excited because honestly, I haven't chopped it up with John in a little bit. We didn't do Thursday's show. We didn't do Monday's show. So I'm excited to see you, brother.
It's been a while. But, most importantly, we're glad that health is back. Health is back for you and your family. And, things are going well. We're on the upswing. So I'm extremely happy about that. More importantly, we're back. Brother. We're together. We get to chop it up and talk our Knicks, as we always do.
Yeah. I'm excited, and I'm definitely happy that we're on the road to recovery and people's getting better here. So that's definitely a good thing. So thank you, my brother, as always. Yeah, man, we are back, folks.
To the wife, please send my love.
I shall. I definitely shall. Thank you, brother. Definitely happy to be back. Hopefully we get some normalcy, but it takes time. We're in recovery mode. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to the chat. You know how we do. It's Ron, John, and Jose. We got a very special guest with us today, and this has been a long time coming. We kind of let things go the way they go. Very busy person we got here, and I'm very happy that she was able to join us. But before we introduce, I just want to shout out to the chat. Geraldine McIver in the building. The first lady of Still Knicks fans and the Knicks community is in the building.
Salute.
Let's go.
Salute.
Cormega is here. Cully Goat is in the building. My guy, Dwayne Dennis is here. And of course, you got other people that are just going to be streaming in and joining in. This is a very busy Monday, as always. We know we got a lot of Knicks community shows on tonight. So if you guys can pop in, we appreciate you. And if you can't, watch the replay because this is going to be a good one. Shout out to Victor Rivera and Almighty Finesse in the building. Salute to you guys. Now, without further ado, folks, listen. You guys may think that you've seen a lot. I thought I saw a lot. You know what I mean? When I was young growing up, I played ball. I thought I was something. I wasn't all that, but I thought I was a little something. You know what I mean? But then, what I used to be in the stoop chilling, and you used to get like the local newspaper, right? And the local newspaper would tell you kind of what's going on in New York basketball. And we grew up in an area where there was a high school called Eastern District. We had a couple good players over there that showed up in the paper sometimes. But, you think about yours. But then when you look in the paper, you see, person dropped this. And then you look at the women's section. Oh, man. What? She dropped what? And then you're just looking, and I'm like paying attention. Okay, all right, next week. What? She dropped what? I'm like, whoa, what's going on? She must be nice, right? Then I'm like, Niesha Butler. I'm like, okay. She got a little game. She got a little next. She dropped what? Yo, it just kept happening. I'm like, this is somebody that I gotta watch. Now, unfortunately, I never got a chance to go see a game in person. You know how it is. But let me just tell you, if anybody thinks they got game, you don't know about game until you've been around people that got game and witnessed it. And let me tell you, our guest tonight got game, all right? Not only did she take that game all the way through the high school ranks to huge acclaim, I mean, going from there, going to Georgia Tech, basketball player of the year type honors at Georgia Tech. Come on, man. WNBA, New York Liberty, acting, hosting, creating, becoming an edge. Oh, no, it's too much. It's too much to list, guys. Too much to list. There's so much going on. But listen, without further ado, I want you guys to all welcome and show your love. Our special guest today, Miss Niesha Butler, is in the building, folks. Let's go.
Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. My first NYC interview. I'm happy.
Oh, nice. Well, we're happy to have you here on Still Knicks Fans, and it's been a long time coming, but definitely very excited about it. So I just I want to kick it off right away. Just get you right in there, throw you right into the fire, because some of us don't know. When did it all start for you? What created, what was that thing that, gave you that love of basketball? Like maybe, I don't know, how old were you? Where was it? What did it for you?
Yeah. My dad, I have the best girl dad in the world. I actually started pretty late. I started like 9-10 years old. And I was small. My nickname was Munchkin for a long time before I got my nickname at Rucker. So yeah, it was more like from my family. I grew up the only child, and my dad was, I think he would have probably preferred a boy, but he was stuck with me, and he taught me how to. He's like, all right, well, she's just gonna have to do it, and he loved basketball, and he taught me how to play. And I don't think they thought I was gonna be good because I was 4'11" for a long time. I actually liked track more than basketball for a while, but that track was my mom's thing because of FloJo and blah blah blah, and basketball was my dad. And it was funny because they were competing. As soon as I got some height, I just fell in love with basketball.
Wow, yes, you started late. I started at 13, but then again, I wasn't good. But, but I was no basketball player of the year or nothing like that. So you know what I mean. So it's all right. I didn't break the record for scoring in New York City basketball history. I didn't do that.
You broke the record for how many backboards we broke.
Broke by throwing rocks at him. I mean, no, but I could shoot anyway.
No, he's a good shot.
Man. John, did you have a question you want to ask? Mr.
Yeah, no, of course. So seeing that you started so late, how long was it before you really understood that you could dominate in your division?
Yeah, so my parents were really interesting. I couldn't watch television. I played chess for a while, and they kind of, my dad was like tweaking me, and they controlled my environment a lot. And I love track first, and I think my father felt that basketball or any sport that was exercise, track, you have to be fast, consistently fast at doing something. So he was more along the lines of teaching me discipline. And then I think kind of what's wrong with some players today, like he made me master certain things, and I was 10. Like I remember specifically like him bribing me to not tell my mom that he made me do like something like 500 left-handed layups when I was like 11, and my arm would hurt and I would cry. I'm a girl, and it was gym. It's 5 a.m. on the summertime. Everybody else is having fun. I'm in the gym, and I thank him for today. Like he's not in the military, but I feel like he should have been. But I think it was like one whole summer of concentrated work. I came back and I beat out the girls for the varsity, and I played on Gaucho's boys team, mainly because I could run and I was really fast, but also when you do something constantly over and over and over, and then you don't have any distractions. We didn't have cell phones. We had beepers and two ways by then. I think that worked on me as an individual. And so I just feel like I was able to concentrate, scoring 80, 75 points a game. That actually requires like just focus, energy, and concentration. And then for a woman, I think it was really important for my dad to be like, go for it, turn it on. Like, let's go. I didn't come here. I didn't miss, I didn't leave early from work. It's 10 points. Let's go. So
now,
I think
let's not gloss over the fact that you said you made the boys team, the Gauchos team. Like you were the first.
She was the first girl. Yes, the first. Jeez.
Yeah, Dave Jones. I'll never forget my dad. Like again, like it was just kind of like we went after Riverdale. So I went to Riverdale, and Riverdale's a private school, and my dad, he's a Bronx guy. So my mom's like, yeah, she needs to go to Riverdale. My dad's like, she needs to play in hood. She's not going to be. I remember them arguing because she was like, no, because I had an incident a few years prior where I almost got jumped because I was working on my crossover and this girl didn't like it and took it personal. And my dad's like, that's not going to happen with boys. We need to put her with boys that can play and they understand. My mother's like, no, they always beat her up. It was a real fight. But I went into Gauchos. Dave Jones saw me, and I was really small. He looked at me. He was like, oh, here we go. And he's like, and then my dad's like, and my dad looked at me and was like, I'm from the Bronx and she can play. He goes, all right, get on the line. I'll never be like, he was like, look, my daughter is this and that. And Dave was like, yeah, I heard this before. And then my dad was like, look, I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in Melrose Project. She can play. He was like, he looked at me, he's like, get on the line. I got on the line and I outran the guy and that hit me there. But I'll never forget that. He just looked at me. He's like, all right, get on the line. That was it. It was funny. But yeah, first girl, Lady Gauchos.
Yeah, and that's one of the most competitive, teams. I mean, still today, one of the most competitive, teams out there in any kind of, league that you can see in New York City. Like Gauchos are front runners with Riverside, of course. Sort of head-to-head matchups back in the day. I remember, playing for Riverside, going against Gauchos. It was one of those things. So, it's an impressive feat, So.
Yeah, they earned my stripes.
It definitely is.
They made me earn my stripes for real. Yeah, my first broken nose at the Gauchos. I remember that.
Wow, really?
No, yeah, because you boys, the people need to understand. I play with boys, so I know the difference. And I also feel like sometimes when people, there's a difference between men and women. There is a difference. We're not talking about skill. We're not talking about respect. It's funny. I never get issues from like Gaucho players or professional or NBA athletes. It's always those like cornballs in the street that think they can compete. But the men who understand the work ethic and respect our games as we respect theirs, that's real important. You know what I mean? I wasn't, I've talked trash, of course, but I knew that it was 2 points and 4 points. So my trash talk was different. So I wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna drop 30 on you. I was like, yo, man, if I get 2, I could get 20, but I gotta get 2. And like literally, that was the strategy I talked about. If I get 2 on you, that means I can technically score. So I, 2.
Right.
Like, it was funny. But no, those were really good times. Those are really good times.
I bet. I mean, listen, you definitely earned your stripes. You've been through a lot, and that was actually really smart. Like getting you out there and having you play, and that's what gave, listen, you had some fire in your belly, so it showed. It definitely showed. And guys, I didn't mention this. I'm sure if you follow Niesha anywhere she's been, people who have talked to her, they mention it all the time. But she earned it, so I'm gonna mention it. She finished her high school career with 3,127 points. At that time, that was the most any high school player had scored, male or female. Okay, so I mean, listen, that kudos and big recognition for that, because that's a feat.
Mind you,
28 points per game.
Let's think about those who came before, right? And there was a lot of well-known stars in the NBA by the time you had accomplished that feat. So
right. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think did you break Kenny Anderson's record? Was that
Kenny Anderson? I still have the record for boys and girls, but what's his name? Broke Kenny Anderson. There was a guy that broke Kenny Anderson's record. I forget his name. I know him too. Oh my god. Oh. But anyway, I still own the record for boys and girls. However, I had to break Kenny Anderson, and I love Kenny Anderson. Like, he was, again, my dad in my ear. Kenny Anderson, boy, a lefty. Like, I you guys know when he gave it to Bobby Hurley, like, I was watching that game. Like, I remember that's before. He's so awesome. Yeah, it was a feat. Kenny Anderson, like, my dad is very hard to miss. I was like, so what do you say? He's like, yeah, I guess that's all right. So I got a good girl dad thing from that one.
So
that's awesome.
Here's the question I wanted to ask you, because I think this is always interesting to kind of live in the mind of an athlete who actually is a real, like, good athlete. Like I was an athlete, but it's not the same.
Let's say next level athlete.
Yeah, next level, actually going somewhere, skillful, being recognized for their talent type athlete. How did it feel to, you leave high school and go to play college ball, knowing that, the college basketball realm is different? Like, there's some ballers at these schools. They get recruited, they come in. Now, it happens in high school too, but when you get to college, it's another level. People know more about their game, and just the level of competition rises. How did it feel to make that transition to go into the college level? Was it something that kind of, caught you off guard, or were you just well prepared for everything?
Well, first, men and women's are different in the fact that women's college basketball at that point, it was the best. Like, it was like a year, because they were looking at me to go straight from high school to WNBA at that point in time. So when I was going to college, that was literally it. It was the best. And I went into ACC, which at that point in time was the best conference for women's basketball. I think the skill level, I was prepared, because there's no woman that I was going against that was better than Andre Barrett, or training with Stephon Marbury as like a mentor of mine. However, which I emphasize this. So Riverdale, my lovely private school, I think we practice an hour, maybe half court, or something. And then I would supplement that. And my dad, thank God my dad knew ahead of time, because Gauchos, like, we would train in the gym, but it was weekends and sometimes it wasn't every day. When you go to a top tier like Georgia Tech, my schedule was like, we had to be up by 4:30, on the floor before coaches at 6, ready to go and to compete from 6:30, killing for 2.5 hours straight, like straight. Like, I remember being like, yo, where's the break? We had 2 minutes break. We had to drink, make sure everybody was on the middle of the court in 2 minutes, and that was considered break. We had maybe 2-3 of those, I don't know. And then we would supposed to be in class or breakfast. Then we have a little nap. Then we have individuals, which is an hour one-on-one with your coach. Then we have weights. Then we have for an hour. And then we have agilities. And then we have class eventually. And that was like our schedule. That is ridiculous. And so for any person that a half court, whatever, to come in, and it was like preseason is the worst season. That is like the devil. Preseason is worse. Postseason not so bad. Season, that was when I shine. I like to ball. I can ball, but playing outside doesn't condition you for the mental fatigue, the physical. Again, I knew coming in, everybody knew I was a New York City point guard coming in, and I had a slow start. I didn't play particularly great against the corny teams. So, like those preseason garbage games, they're like, oh God, she's doing this against these. What is she going to do against the ACC? Like, I know my coach looked at me like, oh God, it was a playbook. Why do we have to have a playbook? Besides, what was this? Like, we didn't have a playbook. We motion. That's all we ran. In college, you get a playbook. So I always, and I tell kids, it's not necessarily like I had discipline in my household. Dave, like talent wise, again, it's a mentality. Like there's a mentality you walk in and you're like, I'm starting, you know what I mean? Points. This is my team. Let's not have a discussion about it. Like that's a mentality that you not only have to have, but then you also have to, have maturity. That's why I have grace for young kids, because I feel like I was 17. Like we're adults. And now that I'm dealing with kids, I'm like, yo, these people don't make any sense. I feel like I made all the sense in the world at 17, but I think coaches need to understand that they're not even formed yet. Like as a kid, like I went to college early at 17, 18. Even when you leave, you're still a child. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes we forget we have to allow kids to grow and mature. But when you're in college basketball and there's money and even for the girls, like there was a lot, you know what I'm saying? I remember, I was prepared only because just of my aggressive attitude, about things. Like I can turn it on and turn it off. However, the off the court, not off the court, the just business of basketball, nobody really teaches you until you're thrown in the fire. So I think that's like, people should really talk about that, because it's not that athletes are dumb or we don't want to go to class. And Georgia Tech, damn it, if I knew that was an engineering school, I would have went to Duke. You know what I mean? You got to take it. I like it. But computer, they don't tell you that in recruiting. Like I went to engineering school. So it was like, you have to study and you're fatigued. Your brain is like maxed out and you got to it was just a lot. And I feel like people need to be really clear about understanding what athletes are really going through. You know what I'm saying? Like really going through. But that was my experience. I had to clean it up real fast though, because my parents came down like, yo.
Yeah, I mean, for a 17-year-old, that can be emotionally taxing. Just to, I remember when I went away to college in Florida, and just being away from home and just a different environment is what I wanted, because I wanted to be away from the distraction. But I found ways to be distracted when I was out there. And so that first semester, I was just like, it was a whirlwind. It was just like I was spinning out of control, and I had to really base myself and really like center myself to get back going. And again, like yourself, 17-year-old out away from home, out in college, you don't really understand how taxing that can be. Now, add to that being an athlete and having a rigorous schedule that you had, I nowhere compared to kind of what you had to deal with as a young student. So there should be some folks who start talking about what that looks like emotionally for kids, and getting them that social awareness and just some mentorship around that, because I think it's important for these young kids who are going in.
And it's not fair. I got lucky because I went back. I left early, and then I went back as a student, and I was like, whoa, like this campus is beautiful. Like I can it's so many different things. You don't do, like when you're an athlete, you go from your athletic dorm to the AA, which is I left, that's only for athletes, and then to your class, and that's it. And it's interesting because I thank God I had the experience to go. It was like 2 semesters to go. And I was like, it's unfortunate that athletes don't get to experience college as a college student. That is so unfortunate. The people, the networking, the other outside activities, clubs, focus center, business centers, everything that college has to offer, especially like D1 schools, have offered that I didn't even know existed. Like, I didn't even know there were friends outside of, like, because all my friends are athletes. Like, I was like, oh, wow. Like, hi. Like, it's, I wish this would be something, if you want to call a student athlete, then let them be students. You know what I'm saying? Because my experience not being like an athlete and being a little bit older and experienced that life was complete. And I loved it. I wasn't like stressed out and pissed off. Like, I love that experience. So anyway, that's true.
No, it says a lot to like the athletes that are like sort of one and done, because they're like, well, I might as well go and start the career now. And then, like a Steph Curry, he went back to school and finished, but later in his career, because it's like at that point, I could always go back and, like you said, you could cherish it more at some point, when you're not stuck in a rigorous schedule. But going back to sort of a little bit about basketball. So is there anyone that you idolized in the game of basketball that you sort of wanted to symbolize your game or?
I mean, I liked Allen Iverson a lot, and I liked, Stephon Marbury, because they were the hot things. Like, Steph was older than me, and Allen was older, and I remember that sometimes being a scoring point guard, like it was acceptable for dudes, I guess, but it was really out the pocket for a woman. Normally, even if you look at Tennessee, you look at UConn, like, Jennifer Rosati, she was like, everybody loved her. Homegirl was not a scoring point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was kind of like a pass point guard, and a lot of the girls, except for Dawn Staley. Like, I remember she was like my first woman I've ever seen. I was like, whoa, like, this is awesome. And I wanted to be like, but she could get buckets, but she was like 5'5" or 5'6". So she was still more of a passer first, So when I came here, I'm 5'9", and it was like, I could drive. And again, playing with the boys, I had to really protect that basketball because they were smacking everything going in. And of course, being in private school, I shot a lot. So it was an interesting dynamic that when I first came in, they're like, "No, you're not a point guard, you're a 2 guard." And then they actually recruited a point guard, and she got trapped because she was like 5'7". When you go against Nikki Teasley, I remember, it's like 6'1". Coach was like, and that's when I became the point guard at Tech. But again, it wasn't something that they easily allowed. But I really liked scoring point guards like Isaiah Thomas, Steph. Kenny Anderson was a major, like, I mean, he was tough. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I mean, it was just kind of seen. I never really looked at too many women except for Dawn Staley, because I just felt like, again, me running track, and having the hezzy that I had with certain things, I didn't see at that point in time women that I wanted to play like. It was more like men that I wanted to try to play like. And, Steph and Allen Iverson were the 2 people that I like watched all the time. Yeah.
And they were on primetime television as college students. I mean, as high schoolers, they were, they were seeing the stage, the big stage. So
yeah, it was really cool.
Wow. 2 things real quick. One, shout out to Almighty Finesse. Yes, currently I don't believe that's the case, but yes, you are right. This is Niesha Butler, who was doing some ATL sportscasting out there. So yes, that is correct. If that's how you remembered her, yep, that's her. So that good find, Almighty Finesse. Appreciate you. And shout out to everybody else who's joining in from wherever you're joining in. Smash that like button. Show your love for the Still Knicks fans and our great guest, Miss Niesha Butler. Also, guys, if you have not already seen it, by all means, I mean, it caught a lot of interest throughout the summertime, but maybe everybody hasn't checked it out. Niesha Butler is also in the New York City Point Guards movie, okay, on Showtime, directed by Sam Eliad. And in that movie, you'll definitely hear about all of the big time New York City point guards, and not
Let's
point
not forget
guards, point
executive produce
guards.
Point Guards. Let's not forget it's executive produced by Kevin Durant, right?
That is correct. That is correct. Thank you, my fine fellow. Yeah, so definitely check that out on Showtime. So Nisha, you've had this really incredible high school career, and might I say, like one other thing I wanted to add, how Nisha eloquently went into how tough it is as a student athlete and the rigors of everything. She got hit with that in her freshman year, mind you. Her freshman year was incredible. She had one of the great freshman years. So just think about her intestinal fortitude, what she had to go through, and how she prevailed throughout it all. So yeah, the kudos and a testament to you. My question to you is: you did play for the New York Liberty and the WNBA. You got to experience all that was, all that was, right? What do
Yeah.
you think? What do you think about the current state of WNBA? Because it's changed so much from its inception to where it is now. Like it's obviously, there's a lot of there's some stuff that goes along with the men's game versus the women's game. But I think in hindsight, as fans, we all like to see good basketball. So, and me as a fan, I'm wondering why they don't get more play, why they don't get the support, why they don't get more salary. But like, what's your thoughts on like just anything that's going on with the WNBA and how you see it in today's days?
Well, so I'm going to hit you with a couple different perspectives. So I am a women's basketball player. All right, let's go with that perspective. I think it's necessary. I think I think people need to be very clear what pay equity means. And I feel what the girls really want. All right. Because I hear a lot of pitting against the male, and that's like so far from the actual truth. Like WNBA and NBA players is like a brotherhood, sisterhood. And it's not, look, like, dude, the reason why they respect us is because they see our hustle. The reason why we respect them is because, okay, like it's LeBron James, it's Kevin Durant, like they're 7 feet, like, so I don't think putting, people who are not really like putting that against is just ridiculous. However, I'm also a business owner, and as a startup founder, you have to run things like a business, and the bottom line is profit and losses. And I feel like, so we call in the startup world, you pivot, right? So if you have an idea and it's going really well, and certain numbers and certain benchmarks and metrics don't work out, you have to pivot or you die. And it's interesting that the WNBA, I feel like, this is an opinion, as a business owner, like as a basketball player, as a women's basketball player, I love it. It needs to be there. All right, blah, blah, blah. As a business owner, I think that a couple of things. You have a dichotomy that's really weird. You have the NBA, who I've met David Stern. He actually supports, he started it, the WNBA, and he supports it mainly as a business owner, and he told me this. He said mainly because he doesn't want to lose female NBA fans. Okay. So that's a really interesting bit. Like David was really smart, right? Like he's, he didn't want to lose females, so a lot of females purchase tickets to go to NBA games, and as a female, why would I support a company that doesn't support women? Which is, again, how you look at the situation and you pivot, right? Now, if you have our big brother always hooking up for us because it benefits them, so they take care of us because it benefits them and they support it. However, as an entity on its own, you're never really able to pivot correctly because you're not able to see analytics and understanding what will work. Now, the reason why I say as a business owner, I'm talking to like real talk, the WNBA can make money on its own, but it doesn't because we have a big brother. Thank God. This is the weird thing. Like, could we make it without the NBA, with the current structure and leadership? I don't think so. Could we make it as an independent structure with different leadership who understood business, understood women's sports, and understood that women spend trillions of dollars? Women. How do you take a product that is for, of, and made of women and have it appeal to the women and, of course, the men, $1 trillion spenders? This is when I talk about women's basketball. That's how I talk about it, because it's something that a product. But I'm not gonna talk because I want it to survive. By the time I have a girl, I can't talk about it and say, oh, it's just whatever, and I'm not gonna down it. But you have to recognize that the NBA is our big brother, and they're taking care of us. And women deserve pay equity. Now, what pay equity means, if you have $100 and the men make $100, yes, they should get. They're getting, let's say, $80 out that $100. We're not saying that we need to get 80 out of 100. We're saying we're making $10. We need to get 80 out that $10. That is the difference. We're not saying we're making $100. We're saying, yo, we're making our 10 right here. We're in our little 10 area right here. We're making 10, but they're only getting 3. And this is the problem. And then, outside people are like, oh, you think you can make 80? Nah, we're saying we want 8 of our 10. You know what I'm saying? And this, I feel like there's so many different multi-layered, but you asked me. So that's how I look at the WNBA. From
No,
my
and
heart.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, my little bit.
That makes perfect sense. No, because at the end of the day, everyone has to make a livable wage and earning, especially if they're the ones who are putting, they're the ones putting bodies in the seats. And and they're the ones who also selling jerseys, right? It's on the players. The players, it's not the teams that are selling the jerseys. It's the players and their game that helps sell the jerseys. And who their audience is, who the audience is fiending to like look for, right? Like a Cheryl Swoops, for instance, like she was the one for me. Like I tuned in every game when Cheryl was on TV, because Cheryl just had the game that translated, you know what I mean? At least for me. And so, I was a big fan of Cheryl Swoops, and so that was someone who, transcended the game, like some would even call her the GOAT of women's basketball, right? But it's one of those things where you enjoy watching the game due to certain players, and if those players play for a team that you represent or you're from, like say New York, then that just you can maximize those dollars at that point, right? And I think that's the most important thing. What you're saying is like, get us the $8 out of the $10 that we make as an organization. Yeah.
There's a lot of leadership issues with WNBA that need to change as a business. Not to say like the girls, they can hoop. Even when I was in Liberty, which was a brief second, I had more people at my high school games than most college and professional games at that point in time. You're telling me, I remember, and it was specifically Carol Brzezowski, who did not particularly care for me for a lot of reasons. Why? Like, if it was a business reason, I had modeling contracts up. I had different you're not putting it in. It's business wise, they're making so many mistakes that it's hard for the girls to capitalize on their talent. It's just hard.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
It may take a complete overhaul at some point, right? Everything has to have that sort of balance, right?
Australia does well, and then who are we marketing to? Like, you can't have a woman's product and slap on pink and think it's gonna work. Our uniforms need to change. I'm a feminist, right? But I know that you can't. We don't like jerseys. You always see the girls more like this. It's because those things are not good for our bodies. We need snug bodies. It's not like we're not doing it for men. We're doing it for our bodies. You need to market. Anyway, look, as a business owner, when you have businesses, you really have to. You're forced to. When you don't have a big brother, I wish I had a big brother like the NBA to take my business. I would be chilling too, and I probably wouldn't complain either. Like, you want to give, okay, whatever. However, I think that women recognize that there are fans and there's equitable scale, and I really do believe, if given the correct new, creative leadership, in I think it's a great product. I think it could stand on its own. I really do. I don't know if it should. You know what I mean? But I just feel like, and the NBA, I actually don't fault them. It's not in their business model. The NBA is doing quite fine expanding to Africa, expanding to China, and keeping us at bay so the women fan, like if I'm a business owner and I'm looking at the WNBA and I'm a man, I'm like, okay, let's just keep it quiet. Yo, China and Africa, we need to do that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not their responsibility, really. They're doing us a solid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So until business-wise changes and structures, and I know it's marketable because there's no way that my high school basketball team, my high school grammar school team had people in it than some boys who were quicker, faster, and I'm able to say this, were quicker, faster, and stronger and could dunk, and I couldn't. Right? So
Right.
it's not about, Michael Jordan or Kevin Durant. It's not about that. It's somehow there were plenty of fans that preferred to go to Incarnations, Columbia Preps, ninth school basketball game than the boys, who the boys were really good. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever that is, that's marketable. And I feel like a
Right.
business needs to find that, put a money on it. Duh.
Yeah.
If we
No,
watch, seen the and they're going like this. You ever seen that sport?
yeah.
I don't know what that's
Mhm,
The
mhm.
what was it called?
What's it
I
called?
know it's
I know.
coming up.
Oh,
So it's
oh, I
You
forgot
know what I
now.
mean? If people watch that, come on
Right.
now, come on. You know,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
you're
saying?
right.
So
People watch
You're
so
right.
what do you say to those and I don't even necessarily want to ping this on any NBA player, but what do you say to those who say that if they shifted the height of the rim and made the 3-point liner closer or just adjusted the diameters of the way of the actual, game itself, what do you say to that argument? Is that
I wouldn't be
is that
against it.
helpful?
I wouldn't be against it only because this. The average man is like, I don't know, 5'9", 5'11", I think, or something, 5'9" or something. And the average woman is like 5'6", right? So when you see Brittany Griner dunking, she's not dunking casually as a regular 10th grader. That takes a lot for a woman to do at that same height. Like that's not equity. What a
Right.
woman has to do to just dunk, or what I have to do to shoot a 3-pointer, or what I have to do to what I is in fact different. With all of this I have going on, with my height, with the diameter meter, the pitch, it's like physics. The ball, my fingers are smaller. Well, actually, I have long fingers. However, generally they're smaller. Like there's so many different. So I wouldn't be against it. However, I'm not sure if people are as progressive as like I am, but I think visually it would be nice because you couldn't tell because equidistantly it'd be the same. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Mhm.
you wouldn't the way Kevin Durant looks at the rim and the way he's able to elevate, that is amazing if he's elevating at whatever altitude. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and I think that honestly, that's fair. If you want to be fair,
Right.
you would do the average height of the men, the average height of the women, and then you would decrease it by the size. And so, I actually like shooting a bigger ball. It's actually easier to shoot a bigger ball in hoop. So it wouldn't be the ball I would change. But as
Right.
far as the actual height of the rim, I don't think it's going to happen by the way. But it would be equitable.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the easiest fix, though, right? Like, if there was like a vote to be placed within the WNBA, and they were to just bring it up to vote, I would assume, or I would think that most ladies will think the way you're thinking and say, okay, yeah, let's try this out at least for a season or a preseason to see how it works. Because visually, like you were saying, even aesthetically, if you're a viewer at home, you're not going to notice the difference. You can
Oh,
shoot at a lower angle. You can shoot, you know what I mean? Like all of these things would not change the way you see the game from home. And so,
it would be quite. I mean, I again this so perfect example. That would take innovative leadership, right?
right,
So you would have to have a president. Like I don't think Adam Silver would really care either way, but you would have a
right,
WNBA commissioner like, yo, let's do this, and people who don't care about it, forget it. We're doing it again, like some kind of creative. Interest. I don't see that happening. The following ex commissioner, not that they were bad, not that they're horrible. However, to think outside the box requires a certain amount of chutzpah. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, because there are people gonna,
That's a good point.
cry about it. So, again, that's why I don't see it happening. But I think it would be a great idea. I would do it. But if you ever listen, if Niesha after this and I, become the commissioner, I'm definitely doing it. I'm changing
That's what's
uniforms,
up.
changing everything, and we bring it back to the garden. We're doing everything.
Well,
Listen, that's
I
what we
mean,
need, man.
I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Listen, hopefully, with plays right into my next question. Maybe one day what you have launched and your venture will turn into a huge thing that goes all across New York City, all across other states, the United States in general, becomes this big thing, and then maybe you might be in a position so that you could be running things over there in the WNBA. I mean, I would
Yeah.
hope for that.
Thank you. You know what? We'll run this interview back if I do decide to take that job. That's honestly, when I ever think about it, I would love to do it. However, that's a headache in the sense that it's like, I would face a lot of backlash because I would think outside the box. That's what I would do. I would get the top leaders in a room. Like, look, you want to make money, you don't want to make money. Let's have a vote on that now, and that would be the it. If they say we want to make money, then I would do my thing. Because I mean, I actually send Mark Tatum like a 15-page in college with what they should do. I was fired up a
Wow.
few years ago. Now, it's like the money, you have to make money. And as a business owner, I recognize now you really, as a leader, it's lonely outside sometimes because you're risking a lot. Like it's risky. It's a scary position to be in. And you never know it works until it works. You know what I'm saying? And you have all these maybe one day I'll be the commissioner of WNBA. We'll run this back. And you have to be like, remember you said, yeah, all right.
I got you. Well,
Thanks.
listen, I mean, the fact that you are talking like this and you understand, you've learned a lot about business because you are going through it right now. My question to you, knowing this stuff and like getting all of this firsthand, what made you decide to create and found STEAM Champs?
So again, going to the private school and playing at Gauchos, I've had the best of both worlds. And this is what I mean, the best of both worlds. And I think that a complete person is a person in which has a lot of different friends and access to different types of lives, different types of experiences. And what I found is, sometimes you can get caught up in basically a vacuum. If you're an athlete, you can be in that vacuum. I went to Georgia Tech. All my friends are engineers, so that was a vacuum. And Georgia Tech is the #1 graduate of Black engineers in the nation, right? So for me, knowing a Black engineer I'm a Black engineer, like everybody knows, like it was kind of like whatever. When I went, I had that PhD thing with Amato, and I went to Spain to live there. I was chilling. I got a contract because I wanted to teach because I was already doing free classes because I recognize diversity and representation matters. So I tutored under Lonnie Johnson's robotics lab in Atlanta because I was teaching. So I was doing software engineering. He was like, if you could be a software engineer, you can be robotics. I was like, I don't know. So I mentored on him for 2 years. And what I saw was the reason why he picked me, I was like, and Mr. Bart was like, yo, I really want you to do robotics because there's simply not any Black, Latina women in STEM. And from a little kid, you know how important it was for me to see Dawn Staley, at 9-10? That made me pick up the ball. I love Steph, I love AI, but that was later. I needed to see somebody that resembled something like me to make me feel subconsciously or consciously that I could do it. And I recognize now that my dad sent me, I'll never forget it. I was chilling on the beach. Canary Islands is warm. I was living my life. He sends me an article and that said 78% of New York City kids live under the poverty line. You know how parents, for some reason, write in all caps. I think they can't see. He's like, so what you gonna do about it? He's like, you need to do with a German Spanish school out there, and I loved it because Spanish, come when you want. Like it's a different life, And he was like, "What are you going to do about this?" I'm like, "What am I going to do?" I didn't even know. Dad was like, "I don't think this is true. This can't be facts," And he was like, "It's facts." So I did my research, and it stuck with me. I don't explain it, guys. Like we're desensitized on social media through a lot of stuff we see. However, this thing, 78%, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of kids that I probably knew growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't rich, but we weren't poor. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of things. And STEM enabled me, not basketball gave me the option to be able to go to Georgia Tech, right? Like for free without student debt, which is that. However, as a woman, I knew from the get-go I wasn't going to be wealthy through the WNBA. That I knew that. Like, so me not playing for a while, you know, doing that quick stint with the Liberty, I knew that it was not a big deal for me because I already knew that I wanted to be wealthy like my classmates. So I was just saying, you know, however this knees hold up, baby, let's just hold them on, hold tight. But I knew. So I studied, I learned. And when he sent me that article, and I have the ear of Microsoft, Google for entrepreneurs, whatever, they're always asking like, oh, we have all these jobs making six figures. You know, we're the black engineers. I was like, where are they? What are you talking about? They're everywhere. What are you talking about? Did some research. Lo and behold, there's no computer science public school mandate. New York City, only the private schools that cost $75,000 a year have it. After school programs, you can't skim on after school programs because you need the robots, you need Wi-Fi, you need computers. It's not like you have a ball in the hoop. Like it costs. You cannot skim. It costs money. So I was doing more research and I realized that even if a kid was interested in gaming and all like at 18, they already missed 10,000 hours of studying and foundational classes. That's why they go into it and maybe quit. Because it's too difficult, not because they can't do it, not because they have the skills, it's because just like basketball, you need to deposit, you need to practice at the 5-year-old level, the 6-year-old, the 7, you got to do that. And so I put together, you know, and it was a risk because my friends were like, you need to do this in Riverdale. These parents can pay you. I was like, no, I grew up in Brooklyn, Washington Heights, and the Bronx. Y'all hear me. And I was like, yo, I want to bring it to my kids that I didn't have to travel 2 hours and a half to, you know, I had to travel 2 hours and I had to get a good education, you know, and I want to expand. But when you ask me like why, it was a real passion thing for me because technology, I can't even say it's the future anymore. It's here. And although they're laying off jobs, and this is true at the very moment, technology is a spot that can't, like, you can figure out and create your own space. You know what I'm saying? Like you could figure it out where you can go into business easy. You can work for whatever you can do, you can figure it out. And I think we as people of color, that gap is drastically growing because all the kids, most of the kids in my private school, 100% of them are exposed to technology as early as 3 and 5. And our kids are not even exposed to it to maybe 18. However, we're the number one consumers, you know what I'm saying, of technology, of gaming, and all that kind of stuff. But we don't create them. So that's why am I selling? I taught basketball for a little bit. Why am I selling hoop dreams? And I think in our community, we need to change that. So it started to be a little more verbose about this. But why is it that a black kid, this is a true story, has the audacity to think that they could be a LeBron James, the sperm percent of a LeBron James. But if I tell them they could be an engineer, which they could be, an engineer or Barack, whatever, they think they can't do it. I don't understand. That's our problem as adults. We got to figure this out. But our kids feel that they could confidently become a professional basketball player, which is absurd. And they actually don't feel confident and feel insecure about having an engineering degree, which one job can change generational poverty like that. I still haven't figured this out. All I've said is I'm going to try to do my part, but there is a real problem that all the kids, and I have them even in my center, swear that they can be a biological specimen, right? Because I know I was the best, and because of my injuries, you know what I mean? I was the first person invited, the youngest person invited to Olympic trials. I know firsthand that it's not only how good you are, it's a lot of luck too. You know what I'm saying? It's injuries. We all know Pee Wee Kirtland. We all know like a lot of people like who balling, Joe Hammond. Like I'm very versed, and we know ballers who sprain their knee, twist their ankle, and is a wrap. You know what I mean? That's too easily. So I just want to help promote the fact that you can take 2 years, be a junior developer, study another, and then go in as a junior developer, making 6 figures in 3 years, and then 4 or 5 years of just staying at that job. If your knee hurts, if you twist it, you can make $250,000, y'all.
Right.
I'm that's my
Quarter
skill
of a
today.
million.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
great. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, but
Okay, all right.
I mean, it's such a passion, and I think it really you're nailing it directly where it needs to be projected. It starts with us, right? It starts with
Yeah.
each individual. It starts with our like for me, growing up with parents that were migrants from a different country, and they come from Puerto Rico, even though it was close enough, and they had their their papers. It was just a different lifestyle, different upbringing. Coming here in New York, trying to figure it all out, and not giving me and my sister sort of the education on where to start and where to go. And I think it's important that as we grow generationally, we start to teach our kids like there's more to
Yep.
life than just becoming an actor or singer or a rapper or an athlete. Like it's great if you have the talent, it could help bring you to the next level, but make sure that you pay close mind to your education. You know what I mean, and put the same sort of dedication that you do to sports or video games to your education. And if it's coding that you need to, be well versed in, then start somewhere. I think it's important that we start to teach our children. I think you're just right on point with it, and I appreciate you for saying that on our platform.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
asking.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
So, being that you did create, now is it STEAM Champs or is it STEM Champs?
No, so STEAM because I want to include the arts, which is like chess, some sports, basketball, entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to add that because the idea is that you don't necessarily have to be an engineer or a doctor. You need technology to innovate whatever your respective field in. So I was intentional about that because I want the cool kids to come too, not just the nerdy ones, So no, we're STEAM champs.
Okay, great. That's incredible. I'm really excited that you were able to launch this program, and launch the school, and the success that it's been having. All the accolades, all the recognition that it's getting, and hopefully it continues to get that. So. I mean, after everything you've been through so far in life and basketball and then acting, modeling, all these different things you've done, how does it now feel to be, you're an educator? Like to me, that's just a crazy, to be an educator, like you're actually an educator.
No, I just said my teachers are crying out. I just feel that there were so many inputs and influences in my life that have helped me dream and just feel good about myself and pour into me. And I think, I want to pour into, well, it's really about, I honestly don't understand, to be quite frank, I don't understand why there's a pipeline. I don't think crime and poverty is something that people want. I think there are more good people who are poor than bad. I think there's more, I think mental illness, because hell, if you're poor and living in squalor, I think that'll mentally make anybody mental. I think that options, and I again, being from both worlds, I see how families and not jobs, careers are passed down, you know what I'm saying, and nurtured to support their immaturity until they get to, and it's still there. And I oftentimes, like, my biological dad's family's from Puerto Rico and I'm from Aruba, and immigrants run a little differently because they feel like they don't know anything. They come. My dad, who taught me, is a black dude who grew up in the project, now is a pharmacist, and his way, he loved basketball, but his way is that he was good at chemistry, he was good at math, and like, so I think because I was a woman and there wasn't a WNBA when I started, I think that my parents always was educating me, always were pouring into me. Like they didn't allow other people to change whatever or think that I couldn't do this. Like it was just a lot. And I feel like I recognized that I was lucky and not a lot of people have that. And if I could be a spark, like I call S.T.E.A.M champs. I say, yo, champ, I really I run it like a gym, like it's a champion. Like you'd be surprised, and I was surprised how you just pour into kids. Our kids, I've learned a lot in this last 6 months, and I recognize that public schools have teachers that will take a dream out of a kid. Like so young, which is ridiculous. You don't have to even know perfect English to be a coder. You really don't need grammar. You just need to work at it. You don't have to, be the science. Like there's so many things that I feel like, our kids quit, and then we wonder why they get into, dealing and doing other kind of stuff when they get older. I can't imagine the pressures of being a man. I'm not a man. However, I do know that, you're 18, maybe went to school, whatever. You want money. You want to feel like a dude. Women want to feel like there's so many mental things that I feel like if I can just empower, these jobs are open, these skills are open, and single women and Black women and Latina women, especially, that hold down the family, not that that's good or bad, that hold down the family, the jobs that have been holding down the family, it's going to be replaced by technology, by the way. Nobody's talking about that. Right? Like no, in like 20 years, those jobs will be obsolete. And so all I'm saying is, most of the private schools are having our kids. I got kids parents begging me, I don't want to deal with a 3-year-old. I'm like, dude, come back in 2 years. No, my kid is a special kind of kid. No, fine. They're begging me. And then I have other parents of color. Now I got to call out my people that are complaining about like working, or why should I spend this? And I'm like, dude, I'm from the hood. I know you spent on that box braids. I know I'm spent on those sneakers. I know. So stop playing. This is very affordable. You have to prioritize. And that's changing the cycle. You could play this for them to go to football training, blah, blah, blah. But you're not, no. So we have to do that as well, and I think it's more, you know what I'm saying? Like we got to do our work, because a lot of our kids and our families, mothers, don't think that their kids can be an engineer. Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
And it goes back to you saying, you stated that, with life comes some luck. And I always look at luck as preparation meets opportunity. So you have to prepare, so when the opportunity arises, you're ready for it and you're able to take it, versus, and you excel at it, versus waiting for something to be handed to you, because it's never going to come.
That is such a great point, because I just had a conversation with my intern. So let me do it real quickly. So I have 2 interns. Well, I have more than 2 interns, so you don't know which one. I'm not going to single them out. I have 1 intern. Their mom is a career, like in a high science career, begging me for a kid to work for free. I have another parent who, not even really in the kid's life, but whatever, was complaining about the money, although it's an internship that's paid. And we both know when we were growing up, internships are not paid. But I was like, yo, I'm going to try to hook them up. But internships are not paid. But I was like, let me hook them up. Both, one is working for free, one is working for some money, right? This one over here comes to me like, oh, mind you, I gave him a computer. You know why? Because he didn't have a computer. I gave him a trip to historical Black colleges and Georgia Tech for free. Took care of him for 3 days. Fed the man for 3 days. For free. Just because he was my intern. Hooked it. He watches me. I'm teaching him. He didn't say in high school, you got no skills. What skills do you have? I'm hiring a person. Like, you're supposed to be learning. The mom is telling him, oh, she's taking advantage of you. I'm like, I'm sorry? Wait, I'm sorry? This other kid, better school, knows more. The parent is begging me to have the kid work under me for free. And I said, and then I want to talk about like parenting, because there's a difference between a career and a job. Like I'm setting this kid up. He wants to be a mechanical engineer. And when I took him on a visit, I introduced him to 4 Black mechanical engineers that gave them their personal number that will get you a job when you graduate, because they met you at 19 years old because you had a job working for the first Black Afro-Latina STEM center in the nation. So that makes you different. And this is what I get a little pissed off sometimes, because I'm helping. Like I can't, stuff I've been through in the last couple, from my people, right? And I'm trying to help. I'm like, yo, you gotta work hard. We can't sit back and complain this and that, and this and that happens. We all know that. However, you have an opportunity to learn, to be poured into. And I'm not understanding. Well, I guess I do understand. I'm just frustrated about the lack of appreciation, but also just we need to understand you got to have skills or you're going to be in a menial job for the rest of your life. They could work at McDonald's. They could dip in fries. And not that that's wrong. My mom worked there at McDonald's for a while. I'm just saying, what you said, like we have to change preparation. How are these kids going to prepare when they can't even get their foot at Microsoft because Microsoft won't look at you unless you had some kind of prior experience. And there's not a lot of people doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Getting internship, giving and paying them. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest. I can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You're 100% correct. But it starts with the psyche. It starts with what. See, I'm 45, right? So in my age, I'm looking at things a little differently than I was when I was in my 20s, right? And so even though some would say I was fairly mature for a 20-year-old person going to school and getting a career at a very early age, but I always had the mindset of work harder than the next person, right? And that will get me to where I need to go, right? And my parents were not high school graduates. They both dropped out, and they basically said, "Do better than I did." And I was like, "That's not hard, right?" Like, so it was like, okay, so just graduate high school. That's really that was my level. So for me, it was like, okay, what can I do more? And what would I enjoy doing was something. What did I have a passion doing? And for me, it was film and television. And I was able to find that niche transferring away from aeronautics because I went to high school for aeronautics, aviation high school. And it was my senior year. I said, well, this is not really something I enjoy, but I'm willing to do it. And then I found an opportunity to learn something different, to learn a different craft. It's really about finding what your interests are and then trying to prepare the best that you can on what you enjoy doing in life. And that way you can build your career, and I think most kids get it twisted in their mind because they don't really have direction, right? Most parents in the inner city are so caught up because they have to either work a 9 to life happens. You got to work 2 jobs. Some of them, are, some kids are raised by their grandparents and they don't really have the time and energy, right? And so it's important for the kids to find mentorship. And I think someone like you in the area that you're in, you know what I mean, is super important to have faces and people like you, entrepreneurs who can share your vision, share your education, and keep grinding. Because I think at the end of the day, we see you, and I'm sure there are plenty of other people who see you and people who would back, that vision that you have. And I think it's inevitably going to happen. It's just going to take its time. There's some bumps, along the way, but
let's go. But I feel like, like even as I'm assenting, I feel it, and I think more people should be. And I say that because you don't have to be exactly where you want to be to help where you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot more I want to accomplish with this company. However, I think really to have an important mentor or somebody that it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, came from where you came, but can talk to you, like, let's go, is so key. You know what I'm saying? And I, whoever's listening out, like, even if people need mentor who are in the STEM field, I'm always open. I want to be a resource because I recognize that, Jeff Bezos, and he's busy. Elon Musk is in space. Like, those STEM mentors, they're not in the hood. They're just not. You know what I'm saying? And I want my interns. I want my people. I want them to springboard. Like, my idea is that, I don't want to keep you. Like, you're gonna springboard to go in, and then all I ask is for you to do the same. You know what I mean? When you get there, So, yeah, I mean, everything you said is spot on. We just got to do better at understanding. There's a lot of basketball coaches, and I love basketball, and I love sports, and it's given a lot to me, and it's important. However, should not be your career choice. That should not be. I'm telling you guys, I'm a hooper. I love ball. That was never my career choice. The WNBA, I think the first contract they gave me was like $23,000 or $25,000. Yeah, something like that. I remember. I mean. That was they're making more now. I remember looking at that like, okay, well, we're just doing this. You know what I mean? Like, but come on, saying? Like, no, like we got to be better at just reinforcing jobs and oh yeah, I just want to say this too. I know that it sounds super smart about being engineer and mechanical and everything like that, but I have to tell you, I wasn't always the smartest student. Like I wasn't always, because basketball made me tired. Like I really feel like I am a software engineer. If I could do it, I really feel like other people do it. It requires focus. And if you can get up in the morning and you can shoot hoops for 3 hours, you know how we used to play. I don't know if kids do this anymore. Remember how you used to go out and get like a pitagua or get an icy and then rest,
Morning to
get
night.
Gary. Yeah, remember that? You go out, you know.
Quarter
I don't
waters
remember.
with the thing. Quarter waters with the thing.
Best thing. That was like we like lived on that. If you could do that, all I'm saying is that's a certain amount of discipline and focus and attention that if you can apply that, you could really apply that to some code. Like real like I like I just feel so pissed off sometimes, you know, people snooty about this. No, if you could read something, you could go over it and do it. Oh, it's hard. The learning curve, I have to say, is rough. However, it's like it's a kind of U-shaped type of thing. You know, if you could have that discipline, because you know we met lazy people too, the people who just don't want to play or didn't want to. No, so forget them. But if you could, whether you were good or not, but you had the mentality that you could go in the gym and you can do something over and over again, I'm telling you, you can be an engineer. It's something that requires 10,000 hours, but you could do it. So anyway, that's my spiel.
No, I mean that's great. Look, this interview, this conversation is fantastic. It's more than I even hoped for, and I'm so happy that you're here because this is the type of stuff that we want to hear. This is something different that not only I personally want to hear. I know John wants to hear it, Jose wants to hear it, but
100%.
the people in the chat and the viewers, this is something that we need to think about because it sets up the rest of our young children's family members, whoever, if you don't have kids, people you're around, the youth, this is how their life is going to be set up. You have to have that mentality. You have to think a certain way in order to achieve things. And I just wanted to share one quick thing real quick before we move on. It's like, if you just think about a lot of kids today, when we were growing up, they used to ask you, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, a doctor, a lawyer, a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm sure when they ask that question to these kids these days, those are not the same answers you're getting from at least definitely kids in the United States. Now, outside of the country, you'll see that kids that come from other places, they grew up still thinking that that's the type of stuff they need to be or they aspire to. And we've gotten away from a lot of things, and we got to somehow figure out a way to get back. And I think social media has a lot to do with it. It's been a negative condensation on a lot of things. Yeah, it's blown up the wrong aspect of life.
You know what it is too, Ron, is how much screen time a child gets. You know what I mean? Especially with these phones. When you give a child a phone so early in life, it's very difficult to remove them from that distraction. And I think it's important that us as parents limit the amount of screen time we give our children because evidently they sort of focus on things that are sort of not necessary in life, like the social media sites and things of that nature. And some of it is, like you said, it's not true to everyday life. You know what I mean? And
I point to that.
They get caught up. They get caught up in that trend. One of the craziest things that I heard from my sister, who told me that when she asked that question, she's an educator and she's in elementary school, and she had posed the question, and the answer to 21 Savage was what the kid said. They wanted to grow up to be 21 Savage.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that is sad. It's sad, but that's Brooklyn. That's
bad. No, I mean, so I'm a little like I'm for screen time, but I'm for specific screen time, right? And the reason why there's a lot of we get kids that are able to navigate things really fast because they have screen time, right? So I feel that a couple of things. Not necessarily screen time is what's on the screen is really important, right? Like what specifically on screen. It shouldn't be one of them. However, there are a lot of learning curves, and I think that why the reason why I want to say that is because, for example, I know when I learn by writing pen and paper, right? And I struggle oftentimes because I'm making everything digital. And I went, I'm always trying to maximize everything I do, basketball, whatever. So I want to maximize my ability to read and write because it takes too damn long. And so my coach told me, he was like, Niesha, That's going to be a little hard to do. And he's like, why? It's like, because for, 8, 7, 8, 9, for pre-kindergarten, you're always writing pen and paper. This is what you grew up on. So your recall, your memory, you got from 3 years to now understanding by pen and paper. Because yeah, you could try to do digital all you want, the Apple Pen all you want. You have years and thousands, hundreds, and probably millions of hours now. So you need to excel at what you do. You know what I mean? Maybe like he's trying to do me shorthand. So the reason why I say that is that, so I'm older, so it's not going to affect me. However, kids growing up, they're going to have to be able to study, process information, and grow on this computer, because that's the future, right? So sometimes, which I felt there was a digital divide because a lot of parents didn't have Wi-Fi, they didn't have computers in the house, and these kids were significantly doing less on tests because it's on a computer, or even retaining the information because they didn't know how to use an iPad versus a book. You know what I mean? So I always tell people, be careful of that. Because even in my own thing, how I maximize, because I'm so used to writing and all that kind of stuff, it's weird. So screen time has to be something that the kids need to, because they're competing against everybody else. But what I do, I say to parents, the emotional intelligence is something I think needs to be doubled down on, because kids are lacking actual physical touch and interaction. Hi, my name is, how are you? Let's talk. You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I mean? However, but they still need those computer skills because that's the competition. But as human beings, what I see in my kids, because I get the nerdy kids, I get, the kids that only are on the screen, we have to work on them being a teammate, because I run my center like a gym. So I'm like, no, if you don't like him, so like, that's not my problem. You're on the project. Y'all got to figure this out. And they melt down. You know how when we used to play, like you go to whatever court, you know what I mean? Y'all got next. You got you yoke me, whatever. Like, you figure it out. You might not like the person. You don't even know the person. Who cares? These kids have a significant hard time with EQ. And that's what I just tell people. They're like, oh, what do you think you should work on? I'm like, emotional. Like, get them around. Like, talk to them, hug them, kiss them, touch them. Let them lose. Let them win. Let them see those emotions, because that's something that they're not learning on the screen. And I think parents should, need to know that. So,
well, I'm glad that you said that, because I think you're 100% correct, and it's less about the screen time, more about what's on the screen. 100%, and maximizing that opportunity to speak with your kids one-on-one, having dinner with them, allowing them to talk to you about their day, expressing their feelings, whether good, bad, or indifferent, right? Like getting them emotionally attached to who they are physically and spiritually is important.
That's lacking a lot. So anyway.
No, I mean, man, you guys are nailing it. And listen, so I mean, you've hung out with us for a long time, and I appreciate you sticking around, Niesha. And we're almost about to wrap up the show. So at this point, if you could just hang out for another 10 minutes, we're out of here. I just want to do a quick recap, and you could just hang back. We would love for you to participate, but don't feel pressured to have to.
Well, listen, this is a Knicks show, so let's get a little history short but sweet. What is your history with our New York Knicks?
Guys, don't do it to me, man. I tell you. No, it's not. See, now they saw the calm, collected Niesha. Now I love sports. I'm not sure if I'm in love with the Knicks anymore, but it was my love. But I'm currently going through, we're in therapy. We're currently going through a divorce. We reconcile. I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to work it out. But another man came in and is taking my heart. The Nets are tugging at me, man. The Nets are tugging at me hard. So, I don't know. I know, guys.
Ouch.
Can we to get Dylan out and then ask me this question again? I just feel like I'm suffering. Like,
I'm with you. Who was your favorite Knick of all time?
Okay, that's a great question. Easy. Okay, so you got to give me the team. It was John Starks. It was Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, Mason. Like, this is when, we go to our AU. you're talking like, yeah, I'm a Knicks fan. I had the Knicks hat, it's the side like this. I had the bright orange and blue Ewing sneakers. Remember those ugly ass sneakers? I had them.
Yeah. The
But,
pumps.
like, I had the sneakers, yo.
Yeah, we all had the
those
Patrick Ewins, man. I'm telling you, when they came out, it was nothing.
I really, I mean, that I can't. I don't have a favorite Nick because like that's just, I love all. I really, because Steph was even a Nick for a little bit. I mean, a little bit, but still, he was a Nick. Like Derrick Rose, like not this Derrick Rose, better. Oh, you remember that? Like, there's a lot of Knicks that I love. However, that 95, 96 team when we used to get be like my version of the bad boys. I argue with my dad, like those Knicks and Charles Oakley, I think would have smacked Bill and Beer. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Come on now, like that's my team. Like, those are my heart. Those are my. That's my love.
That 1 year. The 1 year that we had Xavier McDaniels before they let him move on, I was like, yo, we had it in the bag because we had fear pumped into against the Bulls. They were fearing us.
He finger rolled it. Like I remember that. Why would I love Patrick? Why would you finger? I will never forget. Why would you finger roll? Yo, why would you finger roll it? Like, who even does a finger? Like, let's just talk about the finger roll first of all, right? Who does a finger roll, and who's a center that does a finger? Who's in the final? You see? Okay, can I just go back to talking?
No, you might need a little therapy after this. We're sorry. We apologize. Shout out to my guy Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, another candidate. This is how it is, man.
I'm emotionally. I've been through too much pain with the Knicks.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's a lot to deal with. But we were glad we were able to get your thoughts on it, and we know who you are, where you stand, and what you like, and people can respect that, because that's the Knicks that we miss. Not everybody was able to be around or to see that team. Those teams, I mean, man, they lost out.
That was my dad was telling me with Clyde Frazier, and Earl the Pearl Monroe. He was like, that was the best team. They won that was the year they won a championship, right? They won a championship that year. He said that was, but I still disagree, because I felt like we had like solid teams in each position. You know what I'm saying? And we had a swagger, and we had I just felt like we had a personality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can be fanatical about them, and I don't know. I was like, you liked Earl the Pearl Monroe, you like Clyde, but you weren't fanatical. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't your. And then he said that was his team, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen even the Allen Houston team, which I love Allen Houston as well. Like, that squad still didn't get like that. Like that Charles Oakley.
It definitely wasn't.
Facts. Well, I just want to do a quick little recap, and then we'll get into our predictions, and we'll get up out of here.
Okay,
guys, listen. If you didn't see what took place this week, this was a pretty decent week for the New York Knicks. There was 3 games on the docket. We played the Cleveland Cavaliers. We beat them 105-103. It was a game that, went back and forth in typical Knick fashion, but they found a way to get the victory, man. The Knicks did what they needed to do to secure the victory and get the win behind the play of none other than Mr. Julius Randle, who had 36 and 13 and 4 assists. He played well enough. The Knicks played well enough down the stretch. It wasn't a great game, wasn't perfect, but they played well enough down the stretch to get the victory. And like I said, this is a quick recap, and then we'll get into the predictions. And then we had the game that most people thought circled it on their calendar. This is an L. Like, that don't even show up. I mean, you want to show up, but it's an L, right? Against the hottest team in basketball. Well, I mean, they're one of the hottest teams. They're not the hottest. One of the hottest teams in basketball, the Boston Celtics, best record in the NBA. And the Knicks were able to take them to overtime. Now, we had a nice little lead going into the end of regulation, and we squandered it in typical Knicks fashion. Fourth quarter blues. You know how we do. It's blue and orange, but it's a lot of blues. But the Knicks were able to, hit their shots in the overtime. Jaylen Brown missed 2 key free throws And from there, the game was over. The Knicks were able to win 120-117 in overtime versus the Boston Celtics to get a surprise victory. Once again, the play of Julius Randle, 37 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Jalen Brunson also chipped in 29 in that game. And, but Julius has just been, playing really good basketball and helping the Knicks to grind out and get these victories. And of course, after all that, guys, we say, oh, it's time to play our nemesis, right? In the Barclays Center, right? The Brooklyn Nets on the docket. No KD, only Kyrie, no Ben Simmons, and the Knicks do what the Knicks do against Brooklyn, and they lose the game 122-115 to the Harrises, the Seth Currys of the world. Oh, my God. It's so frustrating. Every time the Knicks play Brooklyn, man. 122-115, a nice fat L. And the worst part about it is they're like our biggest rivals. When we go back and forth as did you guys not just hear what Niesha said about New York sports and the teams that she liked? Those teams would never lose to these Brooklyn Nets. You get it? Like this is horrible. But this is who we are, guys. This is our New York Knicks of 2023.
Delano Steele says it best. Conditional wins, right? We deserve better. We deserve better.
We do.
Oh man, it's horrible. It's really bad. All right, guys. So that's the recap of this week's. We had 3 games on the docket, and I think it's time we get into our preview for what's coming up in this upcoming week. Let's see if our guy's ready. Jose, oh, he's ready. Ooh.
You know what?
Okay. Makes sense.
So let me just say that before Jose says something. So Niesha, what we do is after on every show we go over the recap of what happened last week, and then we predict what's coming up for the upcoming games, right? And so I'll pick my thoughts, and John will pick his thoughts. And today's show, Jose made us text him what we think is going to be the outcome of this week's games. So this is what you're seeing right now.
Okay. Interesting. Well,
go ahead, Jose. My fault.
Yeah, you cut me off. This is my segment.
My bad.
You know what, Ron? I'm just muting you from the whole entire stream right now. I'm talking about I can't even hear you.
Engineer.
You know what? Yeah.
Hilarious.
And you know what? I'm gonna mute John as well, just because. Look, Niesha. First of all, salute to you. Hold up, I need to do this. Everything you said, I was just like, I'm loving this right now. Mainly because I'm just like John, I currently work in media, television, public access. But before that, I was working in an after-school program teaching. I bet you're familiar with this program, Scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, we use it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was teaching that to kids in Brighton Beach, which majority of them are immigrants coming from different countries and all that stuff. Teaching them how to code, basic coding, making little video games and all that stuff. So everything you just said, I was just loving it over here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, we definitely use Scratch. I love that you did that. Like the more, man, we have to flood our kids with exposure. Scratch is a MIT based platform that is great. We use it all the time. That's wonderful, man. Kudos to you. We need more teachers.
Kudos to you. What are you talking about? Kudos to you.
No, I love to hear. I love to hear that, especially men teaching like in these areas, because you don't find it a lot. Like I'm struggling to find teachers. I got to hire for personality and train them. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Listen, John doesn't pay me enough. I work with John, so he doesn't pay me enough. So if you need a new worker, just
I got you. I love this. You guys are great. I love it. Thank you. I probably will hit you up on that. Sorry, John.
But listen, so as Ron said, these are their predictions. Ron, doesn't have any faith in his Knicks for some reason. John is half and half. During the
I see.
show, I asked the fans, those who are watching the shows, their predictions. So
Okay.
I want to ask you, do you agree with any of these predictions? Do you agree with Ron or John's predictions?
Well, okay. LA Lakers for sure. John and Ron. Okay. Miami. The Clippers. Wait, who said? No, I think the Clippers are gonna win. Yeah, I think I did. I think the Clippers are gonna win. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think Miami's gonna lose. Yep. And then what's the last I can see? But yeah, I agree with that losing. No, no. The only thing I do. I don't know. I think the Clippers are gonna win. I do. I'm sorry. But I just think West Coast. It's just different. I just think that. But that's
No
only
worries.
one.
Listen, but part of this
Sorry.
segment, I like throwing curveballs at these guys. So this is what we're going to
Okay.
do. I'm actually going to
Okay.
take you off of audio so they can't hear you at this point. Wait, let me just make sure. Okay. They cannot hear you.
Okay.
Uh,
Bye, guys.
so I asked the fans their prediction. Their prediction is completely different than what you see on screen. So I want to
Okay.
ask you, who would you like me to give the fans' prediction to?
Who are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, who would I do what?
Who do you want to give the fans' prediction to? That means I'm gonna change one of these guys' predictions right now.
Oh, I'm thinking. I say the Clippers. I think we should. I think we should. I think they're gonna win. I think we're gonna win. I think the Knicks are gonna beat the Clippers. Come on, change it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay.
They're gonna be mad. So. Wait, they can see me or they can't?
No, they can see you. They can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. They can't lose all these games. Come on, man. Let's give them one. Come on.
All right. So you think the Clippers are gonna win?
No, I think that. No, I'm sorry. I think the Knicks are gonna beat the Clippers. I'm
You
sorry.
think the Knicks? Okay. So you know what? Let's change that up for Ron, real quick, and let's see if he gets upset.
Yeah, probably will.
There we go. Any other
Oh,
changes? We can screw these people
no,
up right now.
that's it. That's it. We're
That's
good.
it. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's
No worries. We can bring them back on the screen
all
right
right.
now. Let me connect everyone back.
Okay.
Hey guys.
You
Hey,
know, that's
guys.
not cool, Jose. I do my best.
Wait a
I'm,
minute. Hold on.
I'm
Wait.
losing, Jose. Now my look what's going on. Now instead of getting the win this week, the winner of this game by the end of the
Uh-huh.
season, we tally up, has to buy next person's a steak dinner. I really don't want to
Ooh.
buy this. I love Ron to death, but I don't want to buy him a steak dinner.
We're gonna talk trash about this. Now that I get it, we screenshot this something. We're talking.
now, what happens when we tally everything up? What if John wins by one victory? We're gonna come back and I'm gonna say this is because of this.
This is why. Change it back there, right? Okay, that's fair.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's cool.
Well, this is this week's predictions. You guys can't change it. Thank you so much. I'm out of here.
All right, guys.
Always a
Later,
pleasure,
Jose.
Jose. Well, no, don't leave yet, Leisha. Don't leave yet. Okay. All right. So, yeah, don't leave yet. All right. So, guys, once again, thank you guys for being here. It's been a great show, fantastic interview, fantastic conversation, better than I could have expected. Or I expected it to be good. Don't get me wrong, but it's even better than that. So, thank you to our special guest, Miss Niesha Butler. Before you get out of here, I wanted to say thank you for being here with us and appreciate you, taking your time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. The other thing I wanted to ask you that I didn't ask you before is how does the parents out there, if they want to get their kids involved with STEAM Champs, how can they go about doing it?
So you can look us up at www.steamchamps.com. We are starting our online classes the end of February. We also have a really cool science show that there's a science guy coming in on the 25th of February, and there's going to be a sports tech day. So we have the science show, which is interactive science. We have a robotics class, and then we have balling. We're going to play basketball at the community center. It's just a day of fun, tech, and sports. You can take online classes. You can come in after school. Our program is open from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. On the weekends, on the weekdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Saturdays from 11 to 2. Yeah.
Dope. That's great.
Awesome.
That is fantastic. Is there anything else that you have going on or anything else you want to plug? Any special events or anything going on?
Idea is just to sign up. All first classes are free. We are hiring interns. We are hiring center manager. We are hiring ambassadors. Just reach out to me at like minds. However I can help or mentor anybody that's listening to, I'm down with that. If you have a niece, you have a nephew, buy them a gift card, buy them a class pack, have them join our class. Our online classes are significantly cheaper than our in-person classes, so do that. However it is, get them exposed to STEAM. If it's not with me, another center, however it is, get your kids tinkering, building stuff. It's really important, guys. It's just, it's just really important. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'm available. It's really easy to get to me. STEAMchamps.com. Very simple.
Nice.
Awesome.
And what's the age range for the young children to sign up? Is there a range?
5 to 12 is our sweet spot. Younger kids. 5 to 12 is dope.
Okay.
Yeah. Hiring
Great.
from 16, 17 and up. So we teach 5 to 12. We hire 16, 17.
That's awesome.
Nice. Well, great. John, as always, brother, it's always a pleasure chopping it up with you. Any final words, my bro?
As I always say, stay blessed out there in the chat. Looking forward to the next one. Stay healthy. Prosperity to all. Looking forward to the next one, brother.
Thanks.
There you go. Yeah, guys, thank you all for tuning in. I'm not going to run down the line of all you people that might have jumped in the chat, but you know how we give it up to y'all on the regular. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning into this one of the special shows that we have had. So thank you guys. As I always say, tell a friend.
Share a
tell a
like,
friend,
by
tell
the way.
another friend. Oh yeah,
Share a
definitely
like.
share a like. Hit that like button, guys. Yeah, let them algorithms know.
We
had
Niesha
Butler today,
word
folks.
out.
Let's go.
Niesha Butler got it going on. She has everything that you expect our young aspiring entrepreneurs and thinkers and innovators. She's right here. She is right here. So
Thanks, guys.
let's
Appreciate
take
that.
advantage of that and
you can
let's just share out.
Yeah, definitely. And you can relate to everything she said. You know where she's come from. She tells you where she's been. You can see where she's going, and it's to the top. And she's doing it and working with our community and supporting our children. So definitely support what she's got going on. Like, comment, subscribe for this show. Tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. You know it. Still Knicks fans. We'll be back again, whether it be on Monday nights for SKF Weekly at 9 p.m., Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on the NothinButKnicks network, NBK for the NBA report, or on Saturdays at 11 a.m. for Know the Ledge. Continue to tune in, continue to support, and just be present, be in the moment, as they like to say. Take care, and a shout out to none other than the one who likes to mute us, the man behind the mission, on the ones and twos, Mr. Jose.
The man, the myth, the legend, huh?
All right, guys. Thank you. It's been another great show. Take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your night. Let's go, Knicks.
Later. Bye.
Freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.